Welcome back, friends and fellow meat enthusiasts, to the Steak Wolf channel. We're always trying to up our meat cutting and cooking game and sharing our findings with you. We're always trying to save you a buck and help improve upon your methods. Thanks for checking out our first installment of our Butcher Brain series, where I will be covering a wide variety of topics ranging from how a professional butcher views an animal versus how the grocery stores want you to, myth-busting meat talk to cost-saving math, and everything in between. I've been a butcher, a market manager, a shop owner, basically any meat relevant position you could think of for the past 22 years. Episode 1 of our Butcher Brain series is titled Meat Mindset. If you frequent this channel, you've seen me cut plenty of meat. This is about more than just cutting. This is about shifting your mindset to how the pros actually think. Let's begin with how a professional butcher looks at the whole animal versus how the grocery stores want you to. It's really easy, guys. The easiest example I could think of is, when's the last time you went to a meat department at a grocery store? The retail costs are astronomical. It doesn't have to be this way. So if you're walking down the aisle and you see lean ground chicken for $5.99 a pound, right away the professional butcher recalls, well, yeah, it's lean ground chicken for $5.99 a pound, but they have a sale on whole chicken breasts back there at $1.99 a pound. All I got to do is grind it myself and save $4 a pound. Now, I understand the convenience buy. Nobody's going to do that to save himself $4 for one dinner, but that's where you got to shift your mindset. That's where you do this on this one item, even with moderate consumption for the whole year, you're going to save over $780. And that's just one item. You can do that with everything meat. I'm willing to bet most of you eat more ground beef than anything. And it applies there too. You can take a whole chunk of meat. Let's say it's a shoulder roast. Let's say it's a top round roast. Doesn't really matter. Let's say it's $4.99 a pound and the cheapest ground meat is $5.49 a pound. It's only 50 cents difference, but say you do 20 pounds at a time. You do this on every item, especially true with pork. Grind it yourself on a Boston butt sale when it's $1.79 a pound versus paying $4.99 a pound for ground pork. Making your own sausage instead of paying $7.99 a pound for a pack of Johnsonville, you're going to make one that's even better for, what you pay for mostly just ground pork. The main takeaway here, guys, is if we could shift your meat mindset, you're going to save thousands every year. To make it easy, I'm going to put links in the description to basic at-home equipment I use. But know that you don't need all of it all at once. You're not going to do everything all at once. And not only that, there are substitutions you probably have in your own kitchen without buying this stuff. But I've got, a small tabletop grinder that I use at home that's been running strong for 10 years. It's all stainless steel. The main thing is you wash it as soon as you're done with it and make sure you oil it. Getting in this mindset, you start grinding your own meat. You treat it almost like a meal prep. You do this work all at once. You get a food saver so you can properly store your frozen meat, last over a year when properly stored. And you get into a routine of doing this, and it's for the work you put in, the savings are extreme. I can't stress that enough. So I use a tabletop grinder. I have a slicer. Not everybody needs that. I do think everybody needs the food saver bags. I have a sausage stuffer. Not everybody needs that. For example, you can make some really awesome bulk sausage without stuffing into a casing. It depends on how crazy you want to get with it. And let's say you don't even have the grinder. You can use a food processor or a blender, something like that. We've done videos with where we've compared the blender to the grinder and does one make a better burger than the other. And honestly, it's easier with the grinder because of quantity, but if you're just making some, yeah, you can get away using a food processor on this stuff. You can do an entire batch of sausage, buying a cheap pork butt and throwing it in your food processor and just having a couple of seasonings. Here's another spot where most people go wrong. This is why most people waste or lose 20 to 30% of their meat, and they don't even realize it. First of all, for any of this to make sense, you have to commit a little bit of freezer space. We can get into stand-up freezer, chest freezer in another episode, but you at least need some freezer space. I prefer you vacuum seal, but even if you don't, you can make this work. And there's some factors that go along with this. If your freezer is filled to the hilt and doesn't have any room for airflow, it's a lot more likely you're going to lose some meat. You basically got to look at this almost like a small business within your home. You got to check your inventory and you got to rotate. How many of you have had a fortune worth of meat in your freezer before, but you never thawed anything out? So I will just go pay the $7.99 for burgers when we already have them done up in our freezer. It happens to everybody, but you get better as you improve the meat mindset. You get better. And you don't do that anymore. It just becomes routine. It just becomes habit. You don't waste that money. You don't have to make that impulse buy. You've already done the work. You've already paid for it. You've already saved the money. You need proper rotation. One strategy that plays into this whole thing is buying in bulk. Here are the 5 biggest mistakes people make when buying in bulk. So it's a great idea to get a membership to a big wholesaler. You'll save a lot of money that way, but don't make the assumption that that's always the best price. It's not. These retail stores, which year round have a high markup, they have loss leader sales where they're willing to take the hit on an item, assuming you'll buy everything else you need there to make up what they've lost. The best example I could think of this is a video we make every single year because it makes perfect sense on passing savings on to you. Is where we take rib roasts that go on sale around Christmas time, and they're generally a third of the price of what they are the rest of the year. We break them down into delicious ribeye steaks, fill our freezer for the year. So I think this last year they went as high as $7.99. I think every year it's been going up like a dollar in this area, but $7.99 a pound for choice ribeye steaks, and I've got them all year. So the takeaway here is maybe you broke down a whole cow. Sometimes that's the best way, or a half a cow, or a quarter cow, or maybe you have a wholesale membership somewhere. Check the sales anyway. Those loss leaders can be worth it. Another mistake I could think of when buying bulk meats, sometimes people bite off more than they can chew. So you're getting the bulk price because it's a bulk product. So there's some work involved on your part. Let's say you buy a 40-pound case of chicken breast. It was a steal. You got it cheaper than anywhere. Well, now you got some work ahead of you. There's some things to consider here. For one, you're bringing a bulk 40 pounds of chicken breast into your kitchen at home. You're going to have to break it down, trim it, portion it how you like, probably put it in freezer bags, uh, and store it away properly. And then you're going to have to clean up because of the high contamination level of chicken. And if it's going to take you an hour to get to the place to buy your 40 pounds of chicken breast and get back, for one, how much money have you lost there? And your time is worth something too. So you really do need to consider, is the sale on the local $1.99 for a value pack of chicken versus whatever you got on that 40-pound case of chicken breast worth it? In many cases, yes. All I'm saying is make sure you don't make the mistake of assuming it's not going to take that long. Put enough time aside. We're going to do it all at once. You don't want to go, oh, I'll just do half of it now, or I'll just do a quarter of it now. Because every time you start and stop, that's time lost. That's sanitation you have to do again. It just doesn't make any sense. Put the time aside. Treat it again like a meal prep. Go ahead and knock it out. You'll have it in your freezer ready to go. You'll be happy you did. Another big problem with bulk buying, especially as a beginner, is scams. How many of you have seen an ad on the internet where it says 20 ribeyes for 40 bucks, and you get there and it's like a 3-ounce shaved ribeye or something, or some kind of scam to get you in the door that it's only eligible with a $200 purchase or something like that? Those are all over the place. It's a trick to get you in the door. And then after that, for them, it's a probability game. And you end up falling for the, well, we're already here. It's not that bad a deal. Let's just buy it. So when it comes to bulk buying, always consider if they don't list the portion size, it's probably not a good call. Or if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And if you like this idea of changing your meat mindset to save you money all year round, these are good tips, but there are some cautions I want to throw out there. Another of the biggest problems with bulk buying is people's estimation of what they're actually going to eat. Now, you've got the freezer part figured out. It's not a problem. You're doing it right. All good. What I'm talking about is like lack of variety. So if you bought, 40 pounds of beef, 40 pounds of pork, 40 pounds of chicken, and you think your family is good for a set amount of time, and then what's the first thing your wife's going to say to you one week in of eating all that stuff on a rotation? Can we go out to dinner tonight? I really want some shrimp. Something like that. It's bound to happen, or the kids will stop eating it because they're sick of it, or whatever the case may be. You really got to consider, like, is it worth it? How often are we going to eat it? Do we have enough big enough variety? Just keep it realistic. It's got to be a lifestyle you're actually going to lead, a lifestyle you're actually going to be comfortable with, where you're happy, you're saving money, you're eating healthy, and you're actually utilizing the product, not just letting it sit. Number 5, and probably the biggest mistake that rookies make when bulk buying meat, is storage. They'll either take a shortcut when they're doing the work to package it and not seal it right, where it won't last as long as it needs to, thus defeating the whole purpose. Or they won't rotate their freezer. How many times have you gone and rebought meat at the grocery store? Meanwhile, you got a steak at the bottom of your freezer that's 2 years old and freezer burnt. And then really the worst one, so let's say you got a freezer that's just packed full of meat and you got hundreds of dollars worth in there and the freezer goes down and you didn't even catch it. You got to regularly check your freezers and rotate. That's probably the biggest place bulk buying meat can go wrong. Let's talk about the final topic for today on changing your meat mindset. We already talked a little bit about scams, but there are some less obvious scams. Marketing scams. We're talking about what's really a value versus what's tricking you. Your average shopper has very limited meat knowledge. Over this series, I plan to increase your knowledge. Shoppers especially get hung up on cuts of beef. For example, they see on the shelf sirloin tip steak, and they think it's going to be that delicious sirloin steak, which is actually a totally different cut, and they think it's a good price. They get it home and it doesn't taste at all as how they want. They probably would have compared it or prepared it completely differently had they known what they were getting into. A couple of quick tips. As a rule of thumb for steak meat, stick with choice or above. There are exceptions. We'll get into that down the line. And if ever you see the word round in front of the word steak, all that means is it's cut to the thickness of a steak. It's really more like a roast meat. You're not going to get the quality like you're thinking of in a good steak meat. So I didn't have anything prepared in this segment, but this is the Steak Wolf and the newest edition. Steak Wolf will be taking 3 questions from the comments at the end of next episode. So go ahead and ask him whatever you want. Remember, plant-based meat is poison.